hello there, everybody. How you doing?
Doing very well. How are you, Corey?
I'm all right. I'm actually battling a bit of a bug, as they say, and not in a Troopers kind of a way, which actually would be better than what I'm dealing with. But thanks for
Not
asking, Kyle.
not the
What is
bug
going?
though, right? Not the
No,
bug.
no,
No.
no. There was this thing that used to exist called the flu, and I'm pretty sure that's what I got. But I'm hanging tough. So thanks for
Uh,
asking. So
yeah.
Kyle, what about you? What's going on, Zax?
Well, I'm just excited by Mike's OBG 70s review for Boba Fett. I'm gonna put the link in the chat here. I was shocked to see how much he liked that episode. Um, the dance number at the end, I think, really is what pulled them in to that world. Who doesn't love dance numbers in Star Wars?
I actually went and found just that scene, and I could not believe what I was watching. It was like Janet Jackson retirement home music video with Boba
It's
Fett.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Hail to the chat. We've got Punkwaddle. We've got Paul Wolfley, Lasso of Truth. William 101. Look at all of the high rolling, highfalutin, high class folks joining us tonight. Hail to everyone. So yeah, this is a tri-purpose live stream. The first one is for me to shout out everybody who has subscribed. I just broke 1,300 subscribers. I am nowhere near the big guys, but it feels good to slowly climb that mountain. So thanks to everyone in the chat for showing up. Look who we got here. We've got chat's going crazy in here. Brian Martin. We've got James Winterbottom. Taker 610. Hail to the chat. So I don't know, Kyle, did we want to dare to look at did you have anything queued up for Boba Fett, or you do just want to kind of make Mike go crazy talking about the Boba Fett dance experience?
Well, I was gonna low key promote his video and rib him a little bit. That was the whole plan.
James Winterbottom wants to know if the Star Wars Christmas special, if it was that caliber of dance numbers. Mike, let's get your professional assessment of the Boba Fett jazzercise sequence.
I'm muted. I've never seen the Christmas special.
I remember when it was on as a kid. It was horrifying, but it was Star Wars. But what do you think about Boba Fett? What do you think about what went down in this week's episode?
The things I do for videos, it's not as bad as Wheel of Time. I have to say that. It's somewhat watchable. The thing about it is that it is not, they just keep changing the characters. It's not Boba Fett. They're not Tusken Raiders. It's the same complaint that I made about Wheel of Time, where you say, this is not Land, this is not Moraine, this is not Rand, this is not Piran. It's the same thing. It's just they changed the characters because it's a Disney Plus show, so it's Disney, and it's aimed at teenagers. And so they've modified I guess you would say the MO, right? The motivation, although that's not what MO means, but the motivation of the characters, or the race of the Tusken Raiders. And it just,
whoa,
they might as well. Oh, you got yourself a super chat. Holy, does that say what I think it says?
It does.
William,
oh my
101.
God. Oh my God.
Holy crap. Anyways, yeah, it's garbage, guys. But it's not get up out of your chair and go to the other room and scream cringy. It, like Wheel of Time was. It's sit in your chair and go, why am I still sitting? Like, what is this? It's that level of cringe. So it's better. It's better.
I just wanted to Trina.
Go ahead.
Katrina in the chat here, she's talking about she hasn't watched it yet. Not sure if she will or not. It's not insultingly bad. It's just not good, and it's borderline silly. But I mean, it's Star Wars.
Let me say this. Okay, it's the cinematography. I think is fine. Matter of fact, I will even say good. The acting is the same. It's fine, good. The models, the things that are happening in the background, all that is good. I just don't like the story, and I don't like the changes they've made to the characters. That's really my complaint. So you can get, it's not horror bad. It's just, you see so many opportunities where they could have made it better. And there are some scenes where you're like, yeah, that's a pretty cool scene. And then it goes south again. So it's exceptionally well done in a technical aspect. It's just not very well done as far as writing and directing, in my opinion.
I have two things to get to. The first one is I did post a poll on the YouTube page asking this question: is Boba Fett worse than Wheel of Time? We have 8 votes, and Mike, the answer is from the chat, who is all-knowing and all-wise. All 8 people said no. Boba Fett. Oh, wait. Boba Fett is not worse. Wait, I'm retarded. Is Boba Fett worse than Wheel of Time? No. So they're agreeing with you. So
yeah,
you can tell.
It's watchable. It's totally watchable. I watch it with my 16-year-old daughter, and we just make fun of it. But we don't make fun of it at the level of, like, she would hold the blanket up over her head and go, "What am I seeing?" when we were watching Wheel of Time, because it would be so bad in parts. She hasn't done that. We just kind of make fun of certain things. Like, I like to make fun of that the sand people are wearing black when they're supposed to be wearing, sand colored outfits so that they blend in with the desert and the sand and they can hide. And I mentioned that to her and she agrees. And so then we snicker about how stupid it is, but we don't feel like we need to turn it off and go do something else. So
yeah. Zax, thanks for doing the sniper business on the bots we got. I blocked him in the chat. Let me get to this unbelievable, you guys. This channel would not exist without all of you with your support. Just liking the videos, showing up to our live chats, making us laugh, giving us great comments. William 101 is our executive producer for this show. William, God, thank you. I thank you. $100. You guys, you're gonna make me cry, and I'm an old bitter man. So thank you very much. I'm gonna read your super chat. Congrats on 1,300. Found you guys from your honest Wheel of Time reviews. Glad there are people with balls that still tell it like it is. Keep up the good work and hope this helps. Yes, William 101. Someday I'm going to have a soundboard with cheers and all the other cool stuff that all the adult YouTubers have. In the meantime, William 101, you are that was incredible. And I want to say thank you very, very, very much. Unbelievable. You guys are unbelievable. So we did a little dancing around talking about Boba Fett just to see who was going to trickle into the chat. We really do want to talk about Game of Thrones just a little bit and then get into the Lord of the Rings. I dropped a video, was it yesterday, that I got some pretty interesting feedback on because I wanted to test the waters. And part of it was obviously Wheel of Time. Season 1 is over. There are still things, there are still artifacts that I want to get to. A lot of people are asking, where's my episode 7 part 2 review? This is my public admission that that video was erased off of my laptop while I was in transit. I will do my best to discuss it in a condensed version. It's just with everything that's been going on in travel and the holidays, I have let that slide. If that is something you really, really want, I am on Twitter. I am on Getter. Let me know. I will commit some time to it. Obviously, we all know what happened, and we know what happened in episode 8, but I want to make sure you guys are happy. Now, there is another thing that I need to apologize for. It goes back to my episode 4 review. I incorrectly stated that Alana was not a full Aes Sedai. Upon further research, she was in fact in Aes Sedai fully. However, she wasn't in the Women's Studies Coven that had located a cage in a cave. So, mea culpa, I made a mistake. Thank you for understanding. So, I again, William 101, you honor me. This channel would be absolutely nothing without you guys liking the video, showing up, and leaving us comments. So, I mean, thank you very, very, very much, William 101.
Hey,
Cheers.
hey, Corey.
Yeah.
If you keep apologizing like that, you might have to move to Canada with me.
Hey, you know what? So here's me doxing myself. I grew up an hour from the Canadian border on the state side, so maybe that's partly why.
Oh.
All right.
Well, to be fair, the West Coast US to Canada is actually gorgeous. I love
Oh
going up
yeah.
into Canada on the West Coast. I love messing around with Victoria Island. It's one of my favorite places to go check out.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
just beautiful up there. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, you've got some super
Let's go
chats
ahead.
have trickled in.
Yeah, private that.
We got some deluged in too. This one's from Paul Wolfley Hale for $5. He says, the tide has turned against woke. Be on guard for false prophets trying to cash in. Welcome people in, but double check them. 100%. And we have seen it going back a very long time. I mean, it happened in comic books. People got the benefit of the doubt. And then what did they do? I'm not going to name names, but that whole Comicsgate thing. And now look where we are, what they have done with our characters, with Superman, with Batgirl replacing Batman, with all of this nonsense. And then probably the worst travesty is how they keep inflicting these new made characters like America Chavez, like Ms. Marvel, into all of these new Marvel Phase 4 properties. And I'm sure you guys have been paying attention to what's going on, but what did we hear about Doctor Strange? Mike, Zax, Kyle, what have you guys heard about that?
I've heard they're phasing out Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He's not going to be he's not even the Sorcerer Supreme now, but he's not going to be Doctor Strange anymore.
Yeah. The other thing is, and this I triple checked, they are doing extensive 6-week reshoots of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And we can look at this a couple of different ways. I believe this in my heart, much like Paul Wolfley's super chat said, that the tide has turned against woke. I think these studios need to make some damn money. And they will probably go back to doing what they have been doing for the last 5 years, which is my narrative. But they still need to make some damn money because shareholders at a certain point are like, the hell are you doing? Hail to you, Paul Wolfley. And let me get through the other super chats we have here.
You have Taker 610.
I'm getting there. I want to make sure to represent people on the screen. Hail Taker 610 $2 super chat says, on another stream they called him Beta Fett. Mike, what do you think about that?
Yeah, agree. Absolutely agree. It's so sad too.
Kyle, what's your take on it? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I have a bit of a spicy take on the whole show, and I don't want to get you in trouble, but one of the things that bothers me is they've changed his character completely. But even the details, like the name of his ship, which they're going to change it. But the theme of the first 2 episodes have been, we're supposed to sympathize with slavers. Like that's what the Tusken Raiders are. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make them the heroes. But I can't when you can't say one thing and then show us something else. It really it's hypocritical, and it bothers me. Why would you want to make them the heroes?
What I don't understand is what they did to Shmi Skywalker. We all saw what happened in the prequels. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, are they trying to make Anakin Skywalker this, or the Jedi? And I mean, I don't know. Am I seeing ghosts? Am I seeing intersectionist, neo-Marxist, third wave feminism, communist ghosts everywhere I go? I don't know, but it sure as hell rhymes. It sure as hell seems like this whole thing they're doing with the Sand People is some type of bizarro gender studies transference, that they're some type of indigenous people when really they're aliens on Tatooine who aren't very nice. I mean, am I wrong about that, Mike?
No, 100%. They are, well, the Raider says it all. They raid you, they steal from you, they kidnap you, they enslave you, they do all the things. They're the bad guys. But except, I guess, if you are a Disney show, then they are the misunderstood victims, and it's I don't know. It's just like, go watch my review. I get into it quite a bit, but I mean, it's just, they're not the Sand People. They're supposed to be tough. And back to like the Boba Fett thing. I really wanted him to be the bad guy. I wanted to see him kicking ass. I wanted to see him like kill people and disintegrate people. I wanted that Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wanted the adult version of Star Wars, and I wanted the mature audience version. But you can't have that with Disney Plus. You just can't do that.
No.
So
no, and it's not even done well. That's the problem. No. What do you think, Zach? Kyle, what's your read on that with the Sand People?
Well, it's like somebody watched part of Dances with Wolves, and then thought,
"Yes, no, he's right.
We'll just make that a show." Except for like the Tusken Raiders have a history which is not the same as our indigenous peoples at all, and to even equate the two as an insult to the indigenous people who've lived here.
I think it is too. I do.
Whose story they're stealing. It really bothers me.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so desperate to
take. My take.
I think they're so desperate to take all the stuff that they've learned in college in the last 10 years and find boogeymen to staple their labels onto, that they're grabbing. That's part of why our intellectual properties are not just being constructed, but hit with some Stalin-like sledgehammer and turned into the nonsense that we have. Let me get to a super chat. Then we're going to pivot into the Lord of the Rings. We wanted to kind of hang out. And in this first 20 minutes, let people come in, see if they wanted to hang out. So let's see what we got here. Oh my God, you guys. Thank you. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Cheer and applause soundtrack is happening. Just imagine it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
This Absolutely. Is a $50 super chat. Thank you. I am honored and I am blessed. Thank you very much for this. So, hail all of you fine gentlemen. It is a pleasure. I discovered your channel through your Wheel of Time reviews tour, where I was the only one giving honest views, which I appreciate. Keep up the good work, especially as they are about to destroy Lord of the Rings. And then it trails off with a... We'll just do that. Hail to you, Lyle Hammock. You all. I'm speechless, which is a rarity. Thank you so much, Lyle Hammock. Hail to you. Hail to William 101. Hail to everybody in the chat, whether you have super chat or not. I've said it before in the last live stream. Some of these videos take a lot of hours to make, and it's when you're sitting there up at 2:00 in the morning trying to edit things, you wonder, is anybody going to care? So this means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. We have people in the chat, so hail to all of you.
Yeah, I want to echo that. I mean, super chats are aside, they're not complaining they're great, but just the fact that you guys show up is thrilling to me.
100%. And that's the whole thing, is the fact that you comment on my videos, the fact that you leave thumbs up, the fact that you're here on a Tuesday night hanging out with us, that is invaluable. And then I am just astonished that people appreciate what we do and value it the way that I do it. That means a tremendous amount of me. So thank you all very, very much. All right, I think we are caught up on the supers. All right, so how do you guys feel about, let's go ahead and pivot over to what it is that was on my card, which is talking about, here, another Amazon fantasy show. It's Amazon Lord of the Rings. All right, there we go. I'm going to drop the chat out. All right, there we go. So this first article comes to us from Bounding Into Comics, and I kind of wanted to use this as a segue between some of our catch-all conversations talking about Boba Fett, and then also acknowledge the other 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is the HBO Max prequel for Game of Thrones. Now, in full disclosure, I did not watch more than one episode of Game of Thrones, and that was the final one to see what everybody was talking about. I did, however, read all of the books with an asterisk, because of course George R.R. Martin is too busy making, believe it or not, a Broadway musical about Game of Thrones, and then doing stuff like this to finish his book series. But That being said, I'm going to dump it out to you guys, to Kyle, Mike. Tell me, after what you saw with the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones, what is your enthusiasm level for this prequel?
Well, for me, I'm not enthusiastic really about it at all. I would like to be because I've read the books like you have, and I loved the show up until season 5-ish. I watched all of it. I kept hoping for it to turn around, and of course, it didn't at the end. But the reason I'm not excited about this prequel, this particular one, is because they're trying to do this giant, broad, sweeping story again because that's what worked with Game of Thrones. Except for with Game of Thrones, it was about we cared about the characters, whether they were powerful or not, how they moved things pieces on the board or not, and especially early on, it's characters like Littlefinger that we wanted to follow who were not. They were power brokers, but they were not the kings and queens. And it looks like this prequel is focusing on the kings and queens. And if it were me, I don't know they're working on this now, but I'd much rather see a show based on the Hedge Knight, the Dunk and Egg stories. Those are smaller scale at first, similar in style, and I think that they're more character based, and I do like those stories better. That's my take.
Okay. Yeah. I think that the writing is going to be a little bit better, but I also think that if you consider the time frame between season 8 and now, I think it's going to be a little bit on the woke side, and it concerns me. So I'm hesitant, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and it is probably something that I will cover.
I did post something in the chat, another poll asking about people's taking the temperature of the room and
Yeah,
asking what people
I'm
are
picking, and I
thinking.
guess I'll watch it. That's what I'm at right now.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle? I mean, like, are you over it? Do you think it's going to be pretty good? Any enthusiasm or no?
Well, I guess I'll watch it. It was my answer for the poll. I think I feel like I'm more excited than both of you maybe for it, um, because I want to give it a chance, and few seasons of the show were so great, and the books are fantastic, for the most part. So I'd like it to be good. So I'm trying to remind myself going into all of these things that these properties, I want them to be good. So I try to go in with that open mind, and it's a mental exercise at this point to make sure I do that because it's not natural anymore because we've had so much shit shoveled at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, how do we feel about this time frame? I mean, I know the whole Dunk and Egg thing, which they are in some state of production for that, Kyle. And I had almost reported on that 6 months ago when I first heard about it. But what do you guys know about the Dunk and Egg thing? It's certainly not going to have the big budget that this whole thing, this prequel, House of the Dragon, is going to have.
I've just read up that it's a pre-production, and I don't know any casting on it. Couldn't find that at all. I just know that it's sort of in process of being put together, and they do have the benefit of that. With the stories are short, so I don't think they have to do 8 seasons of television for it. You could do those stories in 2 seasons, and because there's also the comic versions, it's already storyboarded for them. If they just follow the comics, they'll be fine.
Yeah, this is interesting because Martin back about 2 years ago recommended that people reread or read the anthology Dangerous Women and Rogues, which I am not familiar with, as well as Fire and Blood, if you'd like to know a bit more about what the show is about. Um, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know. I obviously all of us like Matt Smith and we want him to do well. I think he left Doctor Who way too soon. I really, really do. I don't think his movie career has gone as well as, say, maybe putting a couple more years into Who would have been. But what do you guys think? Do you think Matt Smith has the chops to be in this Game of Thrones prequel?
I do. I think he's a good actor. He knows what he's doing. He's a good choice. I think so.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree with that.
I want to say in the chat, there's a suggestion about a prequel series about the Children of the Forest would be interesting, and I agree that'd be a different take, a different approach than just the dragons.
Yeah, I am gonna hop back to this.
So my understanding about the Duncan Egg is that they've already picked a writer / producer on this, and it's going forward.
Yeah, it's in pre-production, is my understanding.
Yeah.
It's slam dunk. It should be easy. No pun intended.
Right. You think it'll be something like the Witcher season 2, where it's just maybe an overall plot, but episodes cover certain of these stories, these novella stories.
Well, there's an overall overarching story that they can follow, which gets bigger and bigger the longer the story goes. Like it starts as a very small story and expands from there. So I think they could put it over. I think there's 3 novellas. I could be wrong on that, but I read them a long time ago. But there's enough of a story there. You could definitely do 2 seasons, and they would be good seasons as long as the acting is good, the casting is good, because there's a lot of just those 2 characters.
Yeah.
And there's, you have the knights, and you have tournaments, and it touches on the Blackfires, and it overlaps a bit with the original series, but it doesn't. It's not a direct connection, I guess. I'll say without spoilers.
This is an interesting comment that we're getting from Brian Martin, and he asked the question, I don't know why they don't just make a new series based off of any number of awesome fantasy series that exist. Well, I have an opinion on that. Mike, Kyle, why don't you express yours? Why do you think we keep getting things that are recycled or things that have that name on it that they then proceed to mutilate or underperform on?
Well, I think for that, it's just a question of what gets approved and what you get funding for easily. And you go to a boardroom and someone's heard of a property, they go, okay, maybe we'll throw some money at that.
Yeah.
Even if the story doesn't need it, or if the story doesn't need to be told again. But he's right. There's so many properties out there that are original, or you guys are supposed to be writers. Why don't you write something?
That's true. Well, we know Brandon Sanderson's trying to get some of his stuff going, so that'll be interesting. I do like some of his stories, and so there's possibility there. But it also has to do with the existing fan base, right? It's how many millions of people are going to come and watch it because it's the name of the book or series that they like. So, we can Lord of the Rings, obviously. You do anything Lord of the Rings, you got the Lord of the Rings fan base. They're going to check it out. Even if they don't like it, they're going to check it out. Same with Wheel of Time. You have to watch the first couple of episodes just to see how bad it's going to be, And so anything that you're talking about in the fantasy genre, you got to pick something that has a huge fan base and that is going to bring people into your streaming service. Now, one of my favorite, I guess, properties is Larry Niven's Ringworld series. And Amazon, I believe, owns that. And they were planning at some point to make a Ringworld series. I've always said that's quite impossible because the main character of the story is, in fact, the Ringworld itself. The other characters, the protagonists that we look through everything through their eyes, they're just boring characters. They're just horrible characters. Larry Niven can write about things. He cannot write about people. So he needs his buddy Pornell or whatever his name is to write the characters. So that's why I think it's never been done, but I don't know. I would like to see a Stargate SG-1 / Ringworld crossover. That's what I would like to see. But anyways, that's just a really huge science fiction book. A lot of people have heard of Larry Niven and the Ringworld series, and yet it still sits there on the shelf somewhere. So
it's a great series.
Yeah, why is that? I can't really speculate other than I think that it's a boring property. But you also have the Expanse series that Amazon picked up after Sci-Fi did the first 3 seasons. It was a great first 3 seasons. 4th season that Amazon took, they took an entire season to destroy it. By the time they got done, 5th and 6th seasons were, let's say, barely watchable. But, there we are. So just hope that whatever comes is not coming through Amazon. Because I think Netflix is probably doing the best job right now. And that's really sad.
Yeah, and we'll cover an article. I wanted to quickly, though, set this thing up. And this is the official Lord of the Rings on Prime Twitter account. Now, this is the last thing that we have seen from them was August of last year. Is that amazing? This show they spent $1 billion freaking dollars on it. They dropped this one still image from the second age last August. I went back through this timeline because I was like, wait a minute. Do we have anything else that vaguely we got a guy in a field with a steady cam. That's it. I mean, literally, they went radio silent. It's crazy.
I found out from you, Corey, that they've cut it from 20 episodes to 8. Is that right?
Originally, it was supposed to have been 20 episodes. And that's why I made the video that I did. And I'm going to be making subsequent ones on a weekly basis to collect all of this information. Now, those of us who are in the fellowship and watch the big guys like, Nerdrotic, Mahler, Critical Drinker, you name it, we have been getting, these large pieces of information dropped regularly. And it's great because I've stayed abreast of it, but certain amount of time goes by, we just have this trail of breadcrumbs and in some cases like a whole smashed pizza of information. So I am trying in my videos to go back to the beginning and then trace the story to current times. So the next one I'm going to be covering will be a distillation of who the showrunners are and what we know now really happened to that entire writer's room who got thrown out the door. So well,
it's
going
to be a tire fire, I'm afraid. I would like it to be good. We'll see. But when they're...
I do too.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you can't build a giant fantasy series by trying to check off all these boxes first. Like, you got to plot out your story first, build your world first, which I know has mostly been done for them, but they're changing things of that story already. Like Isildur has a sister, and when you start like that, does that make sense down the road? Like, is that a change that in 3 seasons will come back to haunt you? I don't know. It's a bad way to build a world to me.
Mm-hmm. Ask Rafe Judkins about those tiny changes like aging characters up and making it so either men or women can be the Dragon Reborn. Oh, well, I'm going to go ahead. I actually need to share this screen. And so I want to do this methodically. We're not going to get too far into the weeds, but I think it's important to understand who Amazon has entrusted $1 billion with. $1 billion. Now, this should be up in a second. There it is. So this here is one of the showrunners, John D. Payne. Raise your hand if you have ever seen anything by John D. Payne. And my mouse is lost. Guys, let's see. Let me get in a little closer. There we go. So this is his own IMDb page. This is not made up. So here it is, writer, producer for Amazon's $1 billion show. What is he known for? Wait a minute. That can't be right. Wait a minute. No, wait, what? Okay, well, let's go down. Let's look at what films he's been involved in. What? An uncredited writer role on Star Trek Beyond, a movie I could not even finish. The rest of his resume is fleshed out by things that are underway, like The Lord of the Rings and a Flash Gordon show that is coming out.
Do you think this is a money laundering thing? And do you think the D stands for dough?
Well, it's chat. I mean, have you guys seen this? Like, this is the cat's IMDb page. This is where people go to preen like peacocks and show off their chops. So this is one of the showrunners. All right, maybe the other showrunner, and I'm going to pull back, is the grizzled veteran of production. In the meantime, you guys talk about this. Mike, Kyle, what's your reaction to that?
It's not a guy I would entrust with $1 billion franchise with millions of fans. That's my take. John D. Payne.
I am looking forward to making my little meme video like I did for Rafe Judkins, where I have that laughing guy and asking, "What is your experience?" And then he has to explain, "I don't have any." But I've checked all the boxes, and therefore you should hire me. Right? That's really what it's all about. I am on your team.
Is this the other guy
What other guy?
on the screen here? Patrick McKay.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
him? Who are these guys? What's happening?
Yeah. Look at this. I don't know if Salty has muted his mic or if he's just not talking, but
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I said so. This is Patrick McKay. Let's not assume that this is a man. After all, it is 2022 when we need pointless complexity. Patrick McKay. All right. I'm guessing this is an individual who has been around the block, knows how to handle a large budget production. Okay, let's take a look at their credits. And I need to get over here to do that. All right. Known for what? Wait a minute. The same thing has John D. Payne. Okay, but this has got to be incomplete. Well, let's scroll down. Wait a minute. What? This person worked on Star Trek Beyond 2? This can't be. This is who Amazon put in charge of $1 billion Lord of the Rings production? You know, I never thought I would hear myself say this in chat. Don't unsubscribe because this is meant satirically, but what we're looking at is a situation where Rafe Judkins is more qualified to be in charge of the Lord of the Rings. Let that one sink in a little bit. Oh my God. You guys, what are you guys feeling about this? Did you guys know this?
I didn't know this. No, I didn't know who the guys were. I didn't get into it.
I've never heard of them. Yeah.
No, it's embarrassing though. But my question is, did they hire them because these guys were willing to pee in bottles?
Yeah. They it's I don't have words. I genuinely, you hear things like I love Gary Nerdrotic. I love all those, I love Mahler, critical drinker, heel versus babyface. And you wonder, okay, they're saying these things, but they sound absolutely unbelievable. And I'm not calling anybody a liar. I'm just saying, like, how the hell could this be happening? And then you go and start doing research and you see things like this. The showrunners, literally, their claim to fame is not even having their name on the titles of writing probably the worst Star Trek movie of the modern age. Wow. I'm going to get to the super chat. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You do. You go.
Yeah. Hail to you, Brett Rose. $10. Thank you very, very much. Pull your head out of your backside, pick up a pen, then write something that isn't terrible. No money from me until then. I'll send it to you, meaning us instead. Oh, hail to you, Brett Rose. I've been doing the same thing. I refuse to. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have Netflix. I canceled Amazon and then ordered something and didn't read the fine print and then somehow ended up getting Prime again. And so, because I boomered that, but I just ride other people's memberships. Let's just say that, to see things on Netflix. Let's just say that I don't sail the high seas because I don't trust that stuff. But this is, again, it's hard to overreact to the gravity of looking at the people in charge of Lord of the Rings and seeing that these people have less experience than a former contestant on Survivor.
Yeah.
Well, I want to compare it to a few people that we probably all follow, and Tom Conkle, Cameron Pasha, Script Doctor.
Oh,
these guys can come up with a better story in 10 minutes on a live stream, and they have resumes to back it up. And so, why is Tom Conkle having to fund his own films? Like, I don't understand the process of how Hollywood works. It makes zero sense because there's talented people there that are having to, scrape to make money to make films. It's unbelievable.
I'm going to say this real quick. Thank you again, Brett Rose, and I didn't mean to interrupt you guys, but let me go through. I'm going to And you guys, Mike, you have been
Yes.
quiet. What
I'm
do you
reading.
think about this?
I'm actually doing a puzzle. I'm building a nuclear reactor in my basement. I'm doing all these things over here that are taking my
Perfect.
attention away.
So we've got Star Trek was a very diverse show for its time and is still TBH.
To be honest.
It is. Yeah. No, it is. And I'm not hip on the lingo. No, it absolutely was. I dare anyone to go back and watch original Trek. And especially not understanding the context and how important things like with that first interracial kiss on broadcast television in the early mid 60s between William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just because we weren't there. I was,
and keep in mind, yeah. That was, they limited to that because the culture wasn't ready for more. If they were ready for more, they would have given them more. It would have been even more progressive. So it wasn't the show having the limits. It was the viewing audience. The society wasn't quite ready for, to go any further. Baby steps. You needed baby steps.
Yeah.
And so that was quite a leap, actually.
We have a lot of love for Trek in the chat tonight. Hail to you all. I am a big Star Trek fan. I could talk Star Trek all day. So hail to you, Lasso of Truth. Yeah, and we've got...
Yes, Discovery is one of the best Star Treks that there is. I mean, Star Trek, huge fan.
I was just going to say, Punkwaddle's on point here with when he's talking about how they remember the product is what sells, not the pieces that go into it.
I'm not a Deep Space Nine fan. I'm probably in the minority there. I never got into it. I like Quark quite a bit. I like that whole thing there. There's some aspects of it that I do like, but there's certain cast members I just don't like the characters very much, and so it's really difficult to watch. But and same thing with Enterprise. I never got into Enterprise very much, but Next Generation original series, I do like quite a bit.
Oh, 100%. I remember in the early 90s when that episode, the 2-part Borg series happened. And back then, of course, this was on live television. Like if you had to go to the bathroom or get the door to get pizza, you waited till the commercial and then you raced back. But no one was expecting what we saw with the Borg and Captain Picard being abducted. And then you had to wait. You had to wait months to find out what happened. And it's all everybody talked about. And I don't know. That really, really is a treasured memory, is watching that and then having to wait for beautiful writing to 6 months for it to be made. So, But yeah, hail to you, TRW. Note, a sealed door now has a sister, not in the token books. Absolutely. I am going to get this super chat real quick, and then we're going to jump over to a Hollywood Reporter article I think people are going to find very interesting. It's a $5 super chat from Lyle Hammock. Says, I can already tell you that the fall of Numenor will be butchered by these hacks. I can see Sauron saying he is going to make Numenor great again.
Oh God!
You know what? You're probably not that far off the mark, and that's the crazy thing. Is this? It's an absurd time. People are doing absurd things, and they seem to be tripling and quadrupling down on it every freaking day. Thank you very much for that super chat, Lyle. So I am going to go ahead and share this article from the Hollywood Reporter, and the reason why I am sharing it, and they put so many damn ads on these sites. It's actually claustrophobic. Let's try this. So there we go. This actually goes back to December of 2019. And even back then, there were signs that the production of Amazon's Lord of the Rings was having issues. Now, that is not a qualitative statement. They lost a lead actor, and the individual's name was Will Poulter. Now, Mike, Kyle, do you guys know this dude? Do you know who this guy was, that he was such a big deal?
He looks familiar, but I don't know from what.
Yeah, he does look familiar.
Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So he was in the movie Midsummer, which I turned off, and he was also
Yeah.
in Black Mirror Bandersnatch. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
that's where we saw him from.
Yeah.
So,
I never watched
but
Midsummer.
Yeah, I
I
saw
guess
some Black Mirror.
yeah. I mean, how does somebody? Okay, now this is not a household name. I
No.
mean, he was in Midsummer, which was in my opinion, a low budget, underperforming, predictable horror movie. And then you have Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which I never really got into Black Mirror. You'd think that even if it was only going to be mediocre, you sure as hell would stick with the Amazon big budget production. So this was one of those warning signs that we heard about early on where they lost the lead. And where I'm going with all this, my God, look at all these ads. This is insane. So there is the price tag that Amazon paid the Tolkien estate. Just the rights were $250 million. When you factor in casting, visual effects, the price tag could be $1 billion. We now know that has been surpassed. And then, of course, this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you now when they buy the rights to Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth, universe, are they buying them outright, or is it like a contract that elapses in 20 years or something?
A lot of people on Twitter were trying to find out the details of the contract, and I sent them what I had found because we all were collectively searching to try, I think, and find the specifics of what it comes down to. I don't know how long they have this for. What I do know is that there was a major rider that a lot of other YouTubers have talked about as far as the Tolkien estate having final veto power over what is produced.
Right.
However, there is a big asterisk at the end of that. Now, in the Silmarillion, as long as the events turn out in a broad sense how they were broadly described within those books, Amazon can make up any bullshit they want. They can do anything they want so long as the A, B, and C align with what Tolkien said.
Yes. And that is still more oversight than Wheel of Time had. So, but then again, the people that are in charge of the Tolkien Society, you saw what they were doing on Twitter. They were harassing people who were posting pictures for like Tolkien's birthday, and they were saying, "Do you have permission to use this?" And there's a whole hoopla that went on about all that. So these people are not, they're the wrong people to be in charge.
Yeah, I don't want to be ageist, but boy, I grew up in a lot tougher time where the last thing you ever did was narc people out. The last thing you ever did was tell a teacher.
Snitches get stitches.
Well, that's it. But I mean, like schoolyard justice, in off schoolyard justice, once you got a rep, man, that's the last thing you wanted to be known as, is a narc, is a baby, is a teacher's pet, And, was that always the right thing to do? No, but I would take it 9 times out of 10 than what we're getting from the wokerati over there at the Tolkien Society. The other thing not to forget is, remember that seminar that they sponsored last year? I think it was in August or July, where they had all of the woke inserts of, what was it? Dwarven women lacking femininity and being judged in the patriarchy. I mean, it was all of these wackadoodle things about Sauron representing some type of trans allegory. It was like this way the hell out there far thing. So that same society, what they've done with that NFT thing, it doesn't surprise me. What I do think is bitch made is them making all of their Twitter replies private. I mean, I think that's bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
But
it is.
They're
supposed to be a public society, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, and originally Tolkien's daughter, and you guys correct me in the chat because I'm going off of memory, Tolkien's daughter was part of the initial setup of this, and it really was dedicated toward preserving his works and legacy, because there was a long, dark time after the books first came out. And I remember as a kid in the 70s, I'd see these hippies wearing these pins that said Frodo lives, because it kind of fell off into a very niche place where even reading Lord of the Rings as a kid in the early 80s, and Mike and Kyle jump in on this, man, that was not a cool thing to do. You walked around with your yellow Hobbit paperback, or your, I'm looking at the books right now, the red Return of the King book, the blue Two Towers. You got your ass kicked. People took that paperback, they threw it in the mud, they called you a nerd, and guess what? We were. But those books, and again, I'm projecting my own
Yeah,
experience.
that you must
so
have
important.
went to some really rough school or something, man. I don't know.
Oh,
Here,
dude. Yeah.
no problem at all. Matter of fact, most people that I knew, we'd all hang out in the library at lunch playing Dungeons and Dragons, getting yelled at by the librarian there for making too much noise. And yeah, reading those books at the back of the class. Nobody bothered anybody. It was never had that issue. You talk about that, but I can't relate.
That must have been nice.
Yeah, Canada's rougher than where you are. That's
oh no,
for
it's
sure.
fine. Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Kyle Sachs?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it was not a thing you did. Books,
Yeah.
reading was frowned upon in my school. I don't know what that was about, but in general, you definitely didn't talk about Dungeons and Dragons. So you couldn't admit that out loud. That was on the low kind of a thing that you would kind of pass notes around about, because there was no texting yet, but you didn't talk about it out loud, and you definitely didn't do it in the school. Like, no, I mean, we got in fights for no reason at all. Forget playing D&D. Like, that's
you're
asking for it.
I guess I'm very lucky then, because this is like crazy talk to me.
No, yeah. I mean, it was no joke. And I was very tall for my age by the 6th grade. So I could take 1 or 2. So then they just started jumping us with like 8 on 5, or 8 on 3, where my brother and I are back to back fighting like we're a couple of gladiators in this little.
Were these big schools? Town. Like, how many people did you have in your graduating class?
It was just really poor, remote, working class.
Okay.
Places,
all right. Yeah.
But I'm not saying that to nobody feels sorry for me. It just builds character. You know what I mean? And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Let me get to this super chat real quick. Lyle Hammock, $5. Thank you very much again, sir. Also, the 2 showrunners we talked about, Payne and McKay, are, oh God, I forgot about this. They are disciples of J. Abrams in Bad Reboot, and come from Bad Reboot, so you will get a mixed mystery. Oh God, I need to drink. You will get a mixed mystery box. Lord of the Rings. Isn't that great? I have to laugh to cry. Hail to you. Believe me, that's how I felt through my Wheel of Time videos. And we all loved the Wheel of Time, but dude, the importance of Lord of the Rings in Western civilization and canon, it cannot be overstated. Us playing Dungeons and Dragons like Mike talked about, let's be honest, Gary Gygax and the original TSR from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, those guys read Tolkien. Where do you think those books came from?
Yep. Tolkien started it all.
It's the source. It's the source. And really what he was trying to do was remake lost mythology, right? Because England didn't have mythology, because they were conquered so many times and everything was lost, and written language was changed. And so he tried to put it back together. I mean, from pieces of history, but also I guess from his imagination and World War I and his experiences. And so it's not just a story, it was a story of a people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's written almost like a history book if the history was, real, like if that history was real. And so he really wanted, again, to put, the elves, the dwarves, the gnomes, the goblins, the fairies, the dragons, all that stuff. He wanted it all back in the story.
Yeah.
And, it is part of that culture. And so my biggest worry, and I think it's a founded worry, is that when you change so much because you hate where it comes from, and so you have to change it because your goal is to change patterns. You're trying to get the people who watch it, the kids, the teenagers, to think of your version of Lord of the Rings, not Tolkien's version of Lord of the Rings. And it's just really, it's really sad. It's really sad. So, and then of course they're doing that with all of our favorite intellectual properties. Is just change it so that you don't think of the original source material. You think of what's new.
Yeah, and it goes back to, that's why I keep talking about neo-Marxism. And it goes back to a quote by George Orwell that I will loosely refer to, which is that those who control the past control the present. And if you manage to erase and modify the past, those things that are part of our culture, the archetypes like we have seen, undeniably, entertainment has been such a part of our lives in Western civilization for the last 50 years that destroying those characters, changing the roles of gender, whether you agree with it or not, that impacts us as a society and a civilization. And then, of course, anyone who is a strong, independent man is toxic. But I will get off my soapbox. I'm going to shout out to Nick McCabe. We're going to have this person on a show with us real soon. They did a really cool, I would say very British approach to their lampooning of Wheel of Time. And believe it or not, Zax, who is in this chat, actually turned me onto it. So if you haven't checked out Nick Cave and that fun Wheel of Time video, go ahead and check that out after our live stream tonight. It's a pretty cool little thing that's absolutely fabulous, and I will just leave it at that. So,
but Sam McCabe, he's not coming on here. He's a problem. I'm joking. We have both
Wait a minute.
McCabe's in the chat today.
I was going to say, what is this? This is like a rejected version of Simon and Simon. This is McCabe and McCabe.
McCabe and McCabe in the chat, yeah.
Look at this. Cheers to you. Hey, everyone. Good to see you all. Hope as well. Well, hail to you, our friend with a koala. Cheers. It is great. I mean, when I talked about my Lord of the Rings video, what an international audience Robert Jordan has, it wasn't a lie. The very first super chat I got was from Vietnam by someone who was Vietnamese talking about why had they done this to the Wheel of Time series. I think it's pretty darn safe to say that if the thing happens that none of us want on this panel or in this chat, which is Lord of the Rings doing exactly what they did the Wheel of Time, I think the outrage internationally cannot be contained, and that really people coming together like this on YouTube, if not on my channel, then of course on the big guys, I mean, we're going to hear it, and we're going to hear the pain and the rage and the disbelief. Am I wrong about that?
I think it's going to be worse than anything we've experienced yet if it's as bad as we think it could be.
Yeah.
Is there a bigger fan base for any franchise than this?
Well, wow. I would argue that perhaps Star Wars is a bigger fan base. Star Wars in general.
Yeah, you're right.
But then, how many people are really complaining about what they're doing to Star Wars? I mean, there are of course plenty, but by percentage, I think most people just turn it off and they don't say anything. I would like to see numbers, but. If they're gonna do Star Wars dirty, just imagine what they're gonna do to Lord of the Rings. I don't think it has any hope. I mean, I'll watch it. It's gonna be content for me, but oh god, I'm kind of like yeah. What else do you say? I mean, all you can do is hope that it turns out good, but you know that it isn't. And so all we can do is push back, right? All we can do is warn people. Have our I told you so's ready, make our videos, and hopefully the community pushes back enough. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. That's why I was asking, how long do they own the rights? Because we needed to get back out of Amazon's hands.
Yeah, I mean, and to piggyback off of what you said, Mike, I never got on YouTube before The Last Jedi. I'd go and look at how do I replace a certain plug or a sensor on my truck, and that's about it. I never looked at entertainment sites. I didn't know who Nerdrotic was or Doomcock or Critical Drinker or Heel versus Babyface. I had no idea. And then I walked out of The Last Jedi and I told myself that, okay, it wasn't great, but it was Star Wars. And then within 24 hours, I went through all of the stages of grief where you're in denial, then you're in bargaining, then you're angry, then you're depressed, and then you're accepting. And that's when I went out after posting my reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, thinking that this was a fair site, that I went to YouTube because I was being called all these names and told that I should love it. And where I'm going with this is that I think all of us, it doesn't matter if we have a small channel like mine or the big guys that are out there in the fellowship, that letting people know that, number one, they're not crazy. Number two, they're not an hysterophobe and they shouldn't feel that way. And number three, that they should not be afraid to express their criticism of it based entirely on the fact that it is not a good work product. I mean, we know the playbook, all of us know what they're going to say about us. We don't like strong, independent women. We're istophobic. I mean, this is the same nonsense we've heard since The Last Jedi. And guess what? They're going to use it again on Lord of the Rings if it turns out that way. I mean, am I wrong about that?
Well, first, I want to say hello to Mana Menetherin and happy birthday to Trina, Lasso of Truth.
Oh! Wait, do you want to sing her happy birthday? I could do my...
Not a chance, birthday. You can.
Okay. I'm trying to find where that chat is. I wanted to... well, hail to you, Lasso of Truth. I'm just going to say happy birthday to you. All right.
I want to piggyback on what you said too. Actually, sorry, I interrupt you again.
No, it's okay.
But just that, yeah, I think we all came to this spot because we saw something that was clearly bad or insulting, and everyone around, or most people around us, are like, "Yeah, that was fine," but it's not fine. And you start speaking out about it, and people get upset at you for doing it. So you have to find somewhere where people are, I don't know, at least being somewhat objective about what they're watching, and remember, you're not crazy.
No matter what crazy, insane idea you have, there are millions of people that think the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that we've learned over the last couple of years is how mass group psychosis and the effectiveness of marketing and the media telling us something over and over and over and over and over again, that we ever have to be on our guard and maintaining our own individuality. And with entertainment, though, I don't know what point this breaks. I think major studios like Disney and Warner Brothers, it's going to hit them like a freaking tsunami with the things that they're doing, getting rid of the Snyderverse. Now, before everybody jumps up and down, I am not a Snyder fan. I like some of what he has done. I will say that, though, the Snyder Cut was pure 100% exactly what they should have done in the first place. Mike, Kyle, do you guys disagree with that?
I liked it. It was fun. I think it would have been better. I would have preferred it if they put together as a series, like a 6-episode series, as opposed to, I know why people like it as a film, but it was quite a long movie to sit through. But I did like it much better, and I don't know, after the success they've had with it, why they would get rid of it and why they would replace Henry Cavill. Like, if I had Henry Cavill to do anything, I would never let him go. Like, seriously, the guy's talented.
Yeah,
people love him.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Absolutely, I love him.
And to get rid of him, to sideline him, makes no sense. It goes against everything that the metrics are even telling you.
But it is disbanding the patriarchy, Kyle, and that's all that matters, not dollars and cents. It's insane, and I've talked about it before, but living through this 30 years ago when PC culture was running wild through college, and to see it now and impacting these corporations in a major way. I mean, Henry Cavill should be James Bond, Indiana Jones, Superman, and I would say in a Lord of the Rings movie. I mean, you could pick a property, put Henry Cavill in it, and it would be a $1 billion movie. Why? Not just because we dudes think he's cool, but I think a lot of women really like looking at Henry Cavill on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Hail to you,
a lot of his
Amanda
co-stars.
Menethrin.
Yes.
Yeah. Hail to Amanda Menethrin. We will have you on again soon. Good to see you, pal. All right. Hey, wait a minute. We got Brett Rose. I think this goes back to some of our earlier conversation, but I want to do a shout out to Brett. I'm tracking with you, Salty. In rural America, the kids sort out what's what with their fists until we got older anyways. That is true. That is very true. And there's positives to that can be learned. And there's negatives too. But I don't know. I look around me and I'm like, man, some of these kids just needed to have it maybe learn resilience. That's what I'm going to say. Learn to be resilient, because no one can take resilience away from you.
And that's well said. And I think the key is that when this happened, if you got in a fight with somebody, you could walk home with them after school and be friends.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's a different world entirely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And once again, happy birthday to Lasso of Truth. Hail to you, Stabby Sherry. Boy, I wonder how. I don't know. I'm just gonna say interesting moniker. All right.
She might have had a day.
I don't need to be part of a deposition anytime soon. So, oh, wait a minute. I called somebody British who wasn't. Did I call Nick McCabe British? Oh my God. Are you Welsh, Irish, or Scottish?
There's a koala in the picture.
Oh, no. I said there was a koala in the picture. So that was I'm not sure. I thought I covered it, but well, I'm sorry about that. Aussie, if you're an Aussie or a New Zealander, that's something I pride myself in, is not getting that wrong, but apparently I did.
Oh, don't feel bad. I thought Az was British until last week.
Was or wasn't?
I thought he was British. I think he's not now.
Like, well, he's half American.
Yeah,
he's in Yorkshire. He's in Yorkshire.
I can't do accents. I have a bad enough accent as a Canadian. Okay. I can't get him.
That's true. All right, I am scrolling through the super chats. I want to get caught up. People, you guys in the comments section have some amazing comments, and I get going on my tangents, but I'm going to reach out. This is Jaden Hamilton saying Amazon has even less material to make this Lord of the Rings prequel show. If Wheel of Time was sloppy, it can only get worse from there. And that perfectly segues into what I have queued up. Jaden, you are a mind reader, and this, we're going to jump to a site that I never go to, but I'm putting it up there for context. So be advised.
I'm worried. Okay.
So this, of course, is the dreaded comic book resources. And I don't go to this for news. I go to it when I see something on another site that is a rumor and I'm trying to see if it's worth looking into. But in this case, this is only one of the sites that reported this same information it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the dedicated Tolkien scholar who was there on behalf of the Tolkien estate to ensure the validity and truthfulness of following Tolkien's tone, characterizations, and the output product split from Amazon's first season.
His voice went out. He got tired of yelling.
This is something, again, where, and I'm going to bring up another article, but I like to show multiple sources on something, because we all know people can pull a lot of things out of their bungholes for views or clicks or whatever it is. So Bounding into Comics had that same article. Obviously, CBR did, and I am bouncing around trying to navigate multiple windows. You all stick with me 1 second. And I'm boomerang this. You guys vamp for me just for a little bit over here.
Well, when your scholar walks out, or you part ways with your Tolkien scholar, it's a bad sign for the future of the show. I don't know how many backup scholars they would have had.
It's got to be just frustration. You know, he's explaining to him, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do... It's like Brandon Sanderson, only they were supposed to listen to him, and they just ignored him. And so he just was like, okay, F you guys, and the horse you rode in on, and I'm out of here.
Yeah, and it's my opinion. This is purely speculative that they also said, keep your mouth shut and we'll make your books. You want Mistborn done? Play ball. Yep. I mean, I think it's just speculation. But this is it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'll go further and say that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. In your opinion, yeah.
Well,
I don't know,
yeah,
Kyle,
obviously it's opinion, but I'm
Yeah.
leaving it very heavily. That's exactly what happened, and I am not a fan of Sanderson. I won't buy another one of his books. I could go further, but it's your channel, not mine, so I'll keep it at
No,
that.
I respect that kind of passion. I do. And I'm not trying to censor you. I'm just, these are large corporations with nothing but time and lawyers on their hands. And I don't think anybody wants anybody's channel hit. I mean, I'll get nuked when it's worth getting nuked for. And, but let's talk about the OneRing.net. This to me is where you go when you want to know what the hell is really going on. This is a very tidy, well-run little Keebler tree. I mean, these guys know what the hell is going on. So the CBR article referenced this article. This is the original source of Tom Shippey is out. And again, this was almost 2 years ago. What's fascinating about this article is, well, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna cue it up.
All I was going to say is that when they first started developing the show, what I remember reading in a few places was, as long as Tom Shippey is involved, it's going to be okay.
Exactly.
Like that was a key point I've heard repeated from people who know more than I do. So this is not great.
This is the guy I want in charge of Tolkien. I mean, look at this guy. This is a serious man whose tie isn't exactly straight, and he's probably got a bunch of biscuits stuck in a coat pocket because he's living large. When you do this, so here we go. Fidelity to Tolkien. There is a hashtag for you. So this again is in April of 2020. Renowned Tolkien scholar and author Tom Shippey is off the Lord of the Rings project, according to a broadcaster Tolkien professor. However, there actually were other sources for this, but if OneRing.net is saying this is not a group of yahoos making shit up. These guys are I would trust their word pretty much as solid. So yeah, and what it goes into is that it was revealed that this Corey Olson, who is Tolkien professor, he said, and I quote, "I have spoken to Shippey. Is he still involved? I don't believe so." The interviewer then pressed for more. And you can find this out there if you go to the OneRing.net, look for Tom Shippey as out at Amazon. So there was more corroborating evidence that revealed that none of the writers who were brought on originally by Amazon were still with the production, and that happened at exactly the same time that Shippey left.
Yep.
It's a bad omen.
They got their marching orders and they said F off.
Yeah. And I'm not just bringing it up to do this shock and awe with a lot of silence. I'm going to proceed on to another element as to why, when you look at things chronologically and take all of these articles and events that have happened, and you start to see that there was and we'll get to it, but there was something that was announced by Amazon only a month or two after this, as far as their initiatives and quotas. And no one can tell me that didn't have an impact on losing these writers as well as Shippey.
It must have. Of course it did.
Bear with me. I'm going into the private chat for a second. Something just popped up. So. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I was wondering. So thanks for letting me boomer for a second, chat. So there we go. That sets that stage. So what is the reaction that you guys have? I mean, we had heard, and again, I'm not disparaging anybody's integrity, but it's one thing to hear it from other YouTubers. It's another thing to seek out the source material and look at the context of the statement. Shippey left the project. Not only that, but all of the writers who originally were there also quit and or were fired. But at the end of the day, they were replaced all about a month before a major announcement from Amazon. And you guys need to respond to that while I go and pull up some of the other articles that I'm going to do support of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
That should have been a much bigger red flag than it was. I mean, it's a red flag for us, but as a company and a corporation putting that much money into something, and it's not just Jeff Bezos. Obviously, there's a lot of people on the corporate side who make these calls, but when you see that happening, you would think you'd want to pause a project completely, pull back from it, and maybe start all over again, because or build a different franchise, but to push out your token scholar and your original writers from a project, it's not going to be the same project after that. So I don't know why you would keep it going. You're throwing money away.
They must have some sort of an algorithm that they plot in a bunch of data, and it says if we go this route, we're going to have success. And they must have actually believed that, because this all happened before the Wheel of Time was released, right? So now that we see the ratings crashing and the facts of the matter becoming apparent, which is get woke, go broke, they didn't have that data when all this happened. So now I just kind of wonder, are they going to make changes? Are they going to backpedal a little bit? Are they going to realize you can't do that with these properties, because you're drawing from the fan base, and now you're going to piss them all off. And they're not just going to go quietly into the night. They're going to start YouTube channels, and they're going to start live streaming with their friends, and they're going to just pounce on every single release of anything Lord of the Rings from Amazon, and they're going to be critical of it, and they're going to keep on top of it, and they're going to follow all the reviews, and they're going to chart them and graph them, and it's going to be embarrassing for them. So I wonder, are they learning any lessons? Are they going to fix it before it's released? Now, it was too late for these guys. They were, again, given their marching orders. This is the direction we want to go. We want to introduce these elements of current 2021 or 2020 culture. You got to do that for us. We got to get these points in, check off these boxes. And they're like, that destroys Tolkien's work. Like, we're not going to be part of that. And they just walked out, right? They left. So that's my take on it.
It's not Tolkien's work anymore.
No, it's Amazon's work now, right?
It is, and we know how Amazon works, and it's not by providing quality products. It's by providing products as cheaply as possible and as quickly as possible, and take advantage of the people that work there to do that. That's their mode of operation.
Right. Now, one of the things I keep coming back to is, what is in it for Amazon to even have a production studio at all? Why do they do that? They're not like Netflix, where that's all they have. They also have, the Amazon Prime membership stuff, and they're trying to get people to sign up, and then they can start buying products. So your toasters, your vacuum cleaners, the motor oil in your car, the light bulbs, all the things that you buy from Amazon are the reason that they want new subscribers. They want to get you into their ecosystem. And so they want to, of course, okay, how many millions of fans of Wheel of Time? How many millions of fans of Lord of the Rings? Let's get them to sign up. And once they're signed up, then they start using our stores, right? And so that's what they're actually trying to do. And of course, the merchandising. If they can make Lord of the Rings toys, right? The action figures, all the things, the One Ring, they can sell all that, posters and everything you can think of. They sell those. They sell those. So they want people to do this. So there's two sides we can do this here. One side, it's successful. They make a lot of money, a lot of signs up for Amazon Prime, a lot of toy and merchandise sales. They make billions and billions and billions. It's totally worth what they've spent. Everything's wonderful. The other side, nobody buys the products. Everybody cancels. Nobody signs up, and they get hit on reviews, and it doesn't go anywhere. Or is it in the middle? And are they willing to take the risk? And it seems like that's what they're doing. They're just saying, you know what? Either way, we're going to come out a net positive. And so why not go this route, this woke route? Let's just do it because we're going to win. It's a win-win for us. And that's what really bothers me, because Netflix, all they have is produce a good quality content. People sign up for Netflix, or they keep their membership and they watch, and they have to maintain a certain level of quality. But Amazon, they have that buffer. They have the merchandise sales, and that does help cover some of the losses.
Honestly, and Mike, you bring up a lot of really important points. I want to follow on them, but hail to that shouldn't be in the chat as well as Punkwaddle, and he says, "I wish American Gods show hadn't derailed as much, but the books are always there." Again, I love the American Gods book. I read that once a year. I have a paperback I've had forever. Um, it is a tremendous story. I wish they would have just told the story that the author actually told and not made it into oh god what it was. But hail to you guys, especially to Punk Bottle. But to get back to, I mean, Mike, you're spitting fire, and the thing is you're not wrong. In from my perspective, why are these things happening? Well, there's a couple different ways to look at it. Why is Amazon and streaming? Well, because a couple of years ago, large corporations all watched what each other were doing, and it turned into, well, if they're doing it, we need to do it too. Now we see who really is in control of the streaming markets. I mean, NBC, Peacock, Paramount is trashed. Disney Plus is, and I'm being kind when I say this, stagnant. We've got Netflix, which is kind of where it is. It's just these corporations all reacted and dumped money into something, not bothering to look at the opportunity cost. And now that opportunity cost in a down market where we are now, some people are having to sell parts of who they are, their content, and will be gobbled up by the major players, as what always happens when a new technology comes along. In the case of Amazon, I do think that the individual Jeff Bezos who own this, I think there might be a little bit of a pride thing in this. I think watching what happened, everybody watched what happens with Game of Thrones that became a phenomenon. Everybody got on the phone and said, "I want my Game of Thrones." They didn't know what that meant. They didn't know why the original couple series of Games of Thrones were so successful. All they knew is there were people that were naked, they were wearing armor, and there were dragons. And that's what people want. Well, by God, give somebody a bunch of money for it. And here we are in the world we live now. You can't tell that story. You have to follow your ESG score driven agenda walking papers from your bankers who tell you that these stories need to be vehicles for messaging, in my opinion.
I want to jump to that and just say that for Game of Thrones, you cannot have another Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones did things that you're no longer allowed to do. And they were legitimately shocking in the show and in the books, things that people never would have expected, and they wouldn't expect them because they're not common and they're so uncommon, they don't happen anymore. And companies like Amazon make sure they don't happen. So you can't, they want another Game of Thrones, but they refuse to do the things that made it work. And it's not just boobs. Boobs are fine, but it's not just boobs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the reason they wanted that Game of Thrones was not to be, well, I suppose they want to be compared to Game of Thrones, but what they really wanted was something so entertaining that it was talked about by everybody, that it infiltrated our culture, that the things we talked about with phrases that we used, winter is coming, that kind of a thing, they wanted that for whatever it was, right? So Amazon wanted that for Wheel of Time. They didn't get it. They want that for the Lord of the Rings stuff they're doing. What kind of a catchphrase are they going to come up with? I don't know. It's just they're not going to get that water cooler show. They're not going to ever get to Game of Thrones. As you said, Game of Thrones did things that were so risky and it paid off. But that's HBO. And we can look at plenty of HBO properties that were so darn good because they push the boundaries. And you just can't do that now. As you said, I'm quoting you now. And it's just, we're not going to get there again. And even HBO is not doing that kind of content anymore. They're very, yeah, it's sad. But but we always have it. Like, we can always go back and rewatch it, reread it, it's out there still. So I'm planning to just ignore. If I wasn't making content on YouTube, I wouldn't even watch 90% of the stuff I watch.
Once again, mea culpa to the McCabe's, to Nick and Sam. Of course, you're from Australia. And of course, I will use the excuse that I am just a dumb Yank. Hail to you both. No, I mean, it's you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not that we can't get that type of entertainment. It's that they are deliberately not making that entertainment despite all of the money and all of the fan service that could be possible from it. I never thought I would live in a timeline where people on Twitter would be shaming corporations for making their longtime fans who have invested in their properties, for making their fans happy by providing something called fan service. To me, that sounds like no more middle class comfort. I mean, that's what neo-Marxism is that you have something, you don't deserve it, and we're going to take it away from you. I mean, that's bullshit, and yet that is the world we live in with people like that. And unfortunately, they've infiltrated more than just our entertainment. So
some of that motivation has to be behind some of these projects. Like at least a piece of it is there, like exactly what you said.
Follow
you
the
don't
money.
think this bad by accident.
Yeah, follow the money. That's all I'm going to say. It's interesting. I got to read out this super chat. This person's been waiting a long time. Lyle Hammock, again, hail to you. Super chats for $10. Also, I have to say thank you. Through your review of Wheel of Time, you convinced me to read The Eye of the World. Oh, God, that's awesome. And I am loving it. Just finished Shada Lorgoth, and the party splitting up the show really sucked. See? Could you imagine? I mean, like, I love that is wonderful. That's why Mike, Kyle, so many other people, why we ran into this hurricane of shill bullshit about Wheel of Time and try and tell people this is not the story. Go read the book. So hail to you, Lyle Hammock. I'm glad you love it. If you liked Eye of the World, The Great Hunt is going to knock your socks
And that
off.
was one of my biggest fears, is that people would watch the show and think this is what Wheel of Time is supposed to be. No, thank you. And they'll never read the books. But I'm finding more and more people that are like, I picked up the books and boy, the books are so much better. I'm so happy that's happening.
I kind of watched to the end of Wheel of Time. A lot of it was just because I wanted to know what you guys were talking about when you're ripping it apart. That's part of the entertainment for me, and that's kind of why I started making videos on it. And but now I'm getting in trouble for it on Reddit-ish. The Wheel of Time is threatening to ban me because I made a comment on a different board about a video I made if there's a matriarchy where it's okay to kill another gender, I don't want that matriarchy. And so a different subreddit, the major Wheel of Time subreddit, was messaged me and threatened to ban me for saying that on a different board. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just wanted to put that. It's just a crazy.
Yeah, but it's Reddit though, so they're all insane. So yeah,
they definitely are insane. Yeah,
that's a true story. Zach's Kyle actually pinged me a couple of nights ago, rather late, and he's like, I'm about to get banned off of Reddit. And I'm like, wow. And then he told me the same story. And I'm like, of course, common sense. Like that's what gets you banned off of things now, using your eyes. But
well, and my whole point was, if you're trying to sell the idea of a matriarchy, don't do it like this by saying, well, we're just going to kill the other gender and it's fine. That's not a selling point for him. Don't do it that way.
But that is militant intersectional feminism, and it goes right back to the early 90s and things that I directly experienced. I just will say that. So, hail, we've got James Winterbottom. I'm going to read this real quick. When the Lord of the Rings goes south, be sure to have the Peter Jackson 4K extended special editions handy. You will need them to get this crap out of your mind.
Speaking of which, you might hear my keyboard clacking. I forget to order the 4K version. I'm doing that right now.
I am going to hide this super chat. So this is going into that article from Film Goblin talking about the writers from initially being fired about the same time that Shippey left. Now, again, people can tell you that something has happened, but when we look at the sources of this, again, every writer involved with the season 1 of the Amazon series that was to focus on the Second Age prequel has been fired. Not one or two. I mean, so the real question is were they fired because they were trying to put agenda in, or were they fired because they did not want to put agenda in. That once the NDAs run out on those individuals, the non-compete agreements where you can't tell anybody anything, that's when we'll know. You know? It's just, and again, these things happened almost 2 years ago. And here's the video where, and this is a quote, Amazon has let go of the entire writer's room for The Lord of the Rings. Everyone is gone. Their plan is to bring a whole new writing team in for season 1, unquote. He adds, quote, right now as we speak, as they film this, season 1 is in hiatus. They are not filming season 1. Of course, this goes back to 2020. They are filming a pilot, maybe 2 episodes, but they are not shooting. Amazon was actively at this time looking for new writers to join a brand new writing room for season 1. So whatever happened with the scripts for season 1 of Lord of the Rings, those scripts are in cold storage. As far as they've heard, they're looking, it's not the only bad news. Not only are the writers gone, Shippy is officially off the project.
What does it mean by cold storage? What does that mean?
It means they took the original scripts and they hid them, and they will never be seen by anyone. They essentially confiscated them, and no one will ever see them. They are probably under tighter encryption than our tax information here in the United States. I can guarantee you that.
We need a leak then, a Wheel of Time style leak.
Yeah, that's sounds a little like an insurrection at the there. I'm not going to make that joke. So that's not so what the Film Goblin is saying is that the Tolkien estate, which has rights over obviously any creation J.R.R. did, was recently deprived of its loudest voice and advocate. That, of course, was Christopher Tolkien, Tolkien's son. And this is fascinating because this is straight from Shippy, and this is what tripped me out and why I wanted to show you this. Is Shippy had previously done an interview with Tolkien Gustav. Sorry, my German isn't very good. Where he reacted to the Lord of the Rings Meet Our Fellowship trailer, where it details that he's part of the team. In that interview, he revealed that the Tolkien estate had veto power over the show. It's true. Yes, the Tolkien estate keeps a very careful eye on everything. However, the issue is with how some of these books are. These books are not like The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, where it has characterization, it has narrative, it has a character that's discernible. You end up with something in the Second Age based on, in my opinion, which is kind of a dense history book, and especially with the Similarian. I know. I just can't ever say it. The Similarian, and it's late, and I need to get a glass of water. So here's the real issue, and this was Shippy saying this, quote, Amazon has a free hand when it comes to adding something, since, as I said, very few details are known about the Second Age, this time span. The Tolkien estate will insist that the main shape of the Second Age is not altered. Sauron invades, is forced back by a Númenorian, returns to Númenor, and of course there he corrupts the Númenorians and seduces them. All of those things are true, but you can add new characters and ask a lot of questions like, what has Sauron done in the meantime? Well, obviously attended gender studies class and got rid of his toxic masculinity, and obviously, supports communist efforts. But where was he after Morgoth was defeated? Theoretically, Amazon can answer these questions by inventing the answers, since Tolkien did not describe it. However, it must not contradict anything said. So what do we got here?
Don't you wish that something like this was written for the Wheel of Time series?
In retrospect, yes. I find this really troubling. I mean, we all know, the reason why Shippy went into this detail, because that's essentially the recitation of the history that's included in what Tolkien wrote. But there are no discrete real characteristics described other than those actions, and maybe some intent and maybe some overall personality traits. Obviously, Sauron is going to be Sauron, but my God, that is, I think, why we're getting some of the casting news that we've been getting lately.
I think that looking at that, there's just too many. I mean, it's a good attempt, but there's too many loopholes in it.
Mm-hmm.
You need the direct, consistent oversight. Something like a Henry Cavill on The Witcher, who's, policing that set to an extent.
All you have to realize, then they added hobbits, right? So
yeah,
that gives you some idea of what's going on there.
Yeah, and look at what Hollywood did with The Hobbit. I mean, that was that's like a whole other video. But I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you, from my perspective, we're going to look back at The Hobbit, and I'm afraid what Lord of the Rings in Amazon presents, we're going to look at The Hobbit and think it's solid solid platinum. I'm afraid of that. So the article ends up with, if Amazon is shuttering the proposed second Age series and firing writers because they may be producing scripts that don't reflect what the Tolkien estate seeks, this might be a good thing. I don't know. I mean, this is a coin flip. All I know is what we've gotten from, entertainment media, these studios, for the last, how many years now? 7 years. It doesn't exactly inspire a lot of give it the benefit of the doubt. Am I being unfair, Kyle, Mike?
Not at all. No, and I think that there's no flip of the coin for me on this. When some of the people you get rid of are people like Shippy, it's not. There's no coin flip. It's for a purpose, and I wonder. This is maybe a bit conspiratorial, but they've also moved the shooting location so that they've cut ties with everyone who was involved in the Peter Jackson production now, and there's nobody left. It's all, they flushed everyone out. They've moved locations. Everyone's brand new. It's a new place, so they can do new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that there was a lot of people involved that were just angry at the direction they were taking, and they just said, okay, well, you guys can go be angry over there, and we're going to do our own thing. So that's why I don't have a lot of hope. But like I said, it will give me something to talk about. So.
And that may be the way to look at it. And yeah. I wonder how badly do they need money, the Tolkien estate?
Well, they got $250 million. I don't know if they've blown it all, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm sorry, chat. I am going to minimize you again, but not minimize you're important to us. All right, there we go. So this, of course, comes to bounding into comics, and I am bringing this up because bear in mind, in April of 2020, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, you guys were there with me. I gotta jump to the screen. Sorry. So this comes to us from Bounding into Comics, and this was from June 18th of last year. This, of course, is Amazon Studios, who, and they deliberately call it out, the studio behind Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time, announces new inclusion policy. What does this really mean? So in a press release, they essentially detailed that their policy for diversity representation extends, again, commitment to diversity, inclusion, and equity for its contents and productions. They're going to strengthen their ongoing commitment to diverse and equitable representation. They have a policy and a playbook on how to make something diverse and representational, and offers detail. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing with this is, it's you should have diversity in your projects, but every project should not be equally diverse. It doesn't make sense in a real world setting, and like you can have a show set in a place where there's more of a certain population that you want to highlight, but you can't have one of each and everything. It's world breaking.
Yeah, there are some loopholes. There are some loopholes.
Go ahead, Mike.
Those loopholes. Well, the loopholes are very obvious. I think, is if you're telling a story that took place in a certain region at a certain time, you're allowed to make the representation of the characters match what was there at the time. It just makes sense, and it would actually take everyone out of the story if you started really diversifying certain things. If there's any way to read it or look at it that they could put some diversity into it, you absolutely have to. And that's kind of their stance. So, for example, if you were going to do something with the Zulu tribe of Africa, you wouldn't have any white people in it. You shouldn't have any white people in it. And the same thing if you're talking about, something that, the movie coming out, the Northmen or whatever, the Viking movie, it's got to be all white people. Like you can't make it diverse. You can't make it culturally diverse. You can't make it ethnically diverse or racially diverse. It has to just be what's there. And there are loopholes that you can still make properties that are like that. So it's fine, except that if there's any way that you can possibly make it diverse, you have to. If there's any wiggle room at all. And that's what we're into. So with The Hobbit, or with the Lord of the Rings on Amazon, you can put diversity into it. There's nothing that says that it isn't. So therefore, this rule applies. You must make it diverse. The end.
I've said it in my episode reviews. I mean, I got no problem with the best person being cast for the role. What they look like, who they sleep with, what kind of junk they have, who they vote for, who they worship. I don't care. Was that the best person for the role? And in the case of something that's a beloved property, was it the best person for the role who the fans, who we are supposedly making the show for, whether it be a movie or a television show, will they respond to this person because they so accurately, not just physically, but also from a personality standpoint in their character, do they really encapsulate who the author intended and who the majority of fans would say, yeah, that's Aragorn, or yeah, that's Moiraine, or yeah, that's Perrin.
Right. Yeah, but you can't separate it anymore, because if, for example, they say the best person that we could find for this role is this person, and the person is of a different race or religion or gender or whatever, and you're like, well, did you do it really? Like, really? Did you really cast that actor because they were the best, or is it for identity politics reasons? And we'll never know, but we'll always suspect. And so just that little bit of not knowing, well, it makes all the difference to me. And it takes me out, and it makes me not want to watch it.
Well,
like if they change Gandalf, let's say they change Gandalf to a female. I'm not in.
Will.
I'm not in. I'm out.
They will.
Okay, but I'm out. Just that simple. Okay, they didn't do it because they could, or the best person who showed up for auditions was a female. They did it for identity politics.
Well,
and
smash
so I'm
patriarchy.
Out. Yeah, I'm just out. I'm done.
Yeah. I'm on your side, Mike. I really am, and Kyle, I want you to respond too. But let me go ahead and get to this super chat for the birthday girl. Happy birthday to you. I want to say thanks. This is, of course, from Lasso of Truth. I want to say thanks for a great live stream. You guys, for the birthday shout out. Enjoy your rest of your show. I'm sorry if you split Lasso of Truth. Happy birthday again to you. You did not have to give us that, but thank you very much. But Kyle, what's your read on this? I mean, I've got this article up on the screen. I mean, literally, this is the Gender Studies Women's Center Neo-Marxist Intersectional Playbook right here. It's not our imagination.
I think it's good to have diverse cast. I don't have an issue with that. I don't think anyone actually does. If you look at what people actually consume, I mean, I've been watching a lot of South Korean TV, and I'm not Korean, and I see myself in those characters, and I don't have an issue with what their skin color is or their hair color is, and it doesn't matter to me at all. And I think most people are like that. So I think part of this is condescending, because I don't know who really feels that they're not represented at home. I get people on TV and on the radio and on the internet complain about representation, but if people sitting at home really think about that? Because I mean, I know I don't. And when I do notice it, it's when you have things like The Witcher, which is a show that I'm watching, and I still do enjoy it. But the character of Geralt is based, and this is someone else's point I've heard him repeating, so I don't want to take full credit for it, but he's supposed to be an outsider, and he's portrayed that way, and he's noticeably different than everyone else, and that's why he's singled out, and that's why he has to defend himself all the time. But you look at this, you look at these towns and these villages, and it's as diverse as it can possibly be, and he sticks out not at all. So why are they zoning in on him? It ruins that part of the story for me, and I love the games. I've played them all the way through, and I've read the first the collection of short stories. I'm not a scholar on it, but that's a big part of Geralt's character is he's an outsider, but he's not on the show.
People are afraid of him. He is different. He looks different. He walks into these very insular, edge of the world, one horse shitholes, and people freak out and call him names. Instead, now what we're getting, and I'm afraid that the Wheel of Time version of Emond's Field, that is going to be the blueprint. What I do want to say in this is, I had a viewer of one of my videos, I think it was on episode 8, who's from Sri Lanka, who said to me in a comment section, he said, why did they do this? Emond's Field looks like the United Nations Diversity and Representation Conference. I live in a small village way out in the middle of nowhere. We all look the same. And if someone from the outside comes in that looks different, we would look at them funny. I mean, it's human nature. And that's an individual who is not part of North America, who obviously has a unique experience of being in an entirely different culture. And it is just as jarring for them as it would be from anyone from Canada, North America, Europe, all those other places. Yeah, I mean, and here we go. We've got the executive, oh my God, this is a C-level position, executive head of diversity, equity, and inclusion, Latasha Gillespie, explained the purpose of the new playbook. Quote, Amazon Studios has long prioritized telling innovative and inclusive stories from blah, 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 all the buzzwords. We want to move beyond good intentions and create mechanisms that hold us accountable.
I hate that word.
All of this language, I am so beyond it, and I am not an hysterophobe. I just want good fantasy. This inclusion policy and inclusion playbook adds important additional depth and guidance for our internal teams to ensure we continue to advance our mission of amplifying the best creatives. And okay, this is just word salad. This is word salad. If I'm wrong, call me out in the chat. I mean, Mike, Kyle, I mean, come on. This is word salad.
I mean, Mike has already pointed it out, or this line out. And the thing is like, when I think about this, instead of, it's so simplistic. Instead of having Emond's Field have to have one of everything, have that show, and those communities can be isolated and they can be similar looking, and then make a show about Mansa Musa, like the richest king in the history of the world. Make a show about Zulu. They should make Shaka Zulu's story. Like, make those as well. Yeah, they have stories. We don't have, like, it's mind-boggling to me that they don't tell those stories. Tell those stories.
But well, it could just be as simple as not enough viewers. You know, you want 90% of the possible audience instead of 25% or 30%. So you go where the money is, or where the money can come from. And so if you were to make a story that's not, let's say, not accessible, but interesting to the widest possible audience, then you're not going to spend your money there. You still have independent filmmakers that will make those movies, shows, whatever. They're still great. Okay, they're still wonderful. But if you have to pick A or B, you go with whatever is going to come back with the most money, or what, return of investment is going to be. So I think that's part of the reason.
And money definitely talks, but it's in the McDonald's version of entertainment now.
It's content. And you guys had talked about it before. Why does Amazon do what they do? I'm not in their heads. I don't. All I know is that, and we've seen the shift since coincidentally around March 2020, We all know what happened then, of our entertainment really becoming the equivalent of vending machine food. Bite size, looks pretty, but once you open the package and start consuming it, you find that it is artificial. There's nothing that will sustain you within it. And after you consume it, you find yourself empty and feeling sick. That is how I have felt about so much crap we have gotten from the streaming services. And I'm not going to call them out, but there are ones I don't subscribe to. And we are seeing in real time the loss of audiences and the disconnection of those audiences. The question is not, are these things happening? The question is not, are they losing money? The question is what is more important, not just for one or two studios, but literally in every facet of entertainment? What is more important for them to be in lockstep on? What is it that is driving them? And I'm not going to get into it on the show, but I think we need to start looking at that and why the people who finance these projects are mandating within their loans that these types of agendas, narratives, and things like that are absolutely essential to getting that loan package to a production. I just think it's really, really, really strange.
It
Yeah,
makes no
Paul
financial sense,
Wolfley.
that's for sure.
Yeah, and Paul Wolfley's right. Are you not entertained? Bread and circuses, 100%. Jaden Hamilton says, well, at least the Dune movie was good for the most part and actually respected the book, also for the most part. Briefly, Kyle, Mike, what do you guys think? Dune, what's your read?
Well, if I'm going first, I like Dune. I like the movie. I like the way it was done. I know that it's half a movie, but I knew that going in. I'm okay with that. I know I think Mike doesn't like the director, but I kind of do. He's also Canadian, so represent. And yeah, I enjoyed it. The visuals were it was a beautiful movie. That I saw it in IMAX, and the sound was incredible. It's not a complete story, so there's that complaint, but I think it was done well. What was done well.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? What did you think of Dune?
Well, I haven't read the book, so I can't really compare. So oh, we have Floral in the chat there. So I don't know, but I do say that I did enjoy it quite a bit. But then again, I also enjoyed all of the versions of Dune that have been on some sort of media. I like them all.
Yeah. Yeah, the one going back to the 80s with Kyle MacLachlan, is it? And Sting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that movie, it was a mess at the time, and it actually did not do well at the box office at the time. But if you watch it now, it is actually weird 80s cool. I will say that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I like Dune. I like Dune so much I went out and got action figures. That's what kind of a nerd I am. And I don't buy a lot of action figures, but I actually got the Paul Atreides and I got the Duncan Idaho, and I am looking for the other ones because if you collect all 4 of the series 1, you can build a special character. And
Gotcha.
I am pretty stoked about that. But hail to you, Brian Martin. A lot of articles talk about how many of the used to be shot callers in Hollywood are now too scared of the diversity mob to make risky shows. You guys respond to that. What's your read? I mean, we've referenced some of the people that we think could be writing the things in Hollywood that would make people happy. But Kyle, Mike, what is your read on that? Do you think that is the case?
As far as just the fear of it, yeah. I think that they just can't get through the door anymore. I think it's all being gatekeeped, and you just can't approach somebody with a script or an idea and say, look, this is what I want to do, if it doesn't check all the boxes that it's supposed to check. And I just think that's where we are right now. We just can't get it made. And all we can do is keep pushing back until they start realizing they're not making the money they want to. And then hopefully they will repent. How long that's going to take, I don't know. As I brought up in a previous stream, I think it was, of course I'm starting this conversation and not know where I'm going. The director of all the best movies, Kill Bill, what's his name? Help me out here real quick.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, thank you. Right. So he said, yeah, the pendulum swings, and right now it's over to the left and it's heading back the other way, and it'll get there. We just have to be patient. Maybe it'll happen after I'm dead. Who knows? But eventually it will get back. So buckle in and wait.
I want to say hail to Baron Orman Tag. Thanks for coming in the chat. And also, I think that right now people are keeping their head down. They're not taking any chances. And I think that's not great for entertainment, but I guess I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah. There's an old saying that says the last thing you want to do is prevent an enemy from destroying themselves. And I would like to think that that's the case, that there are a lot of people who they don't have to vote the way I do or sleep with who I sleep. None of that stuff matters. Are they good people? Did they take pride in their work? And are they accountable for the positions that they're in and the messages that they can be sending out, not just to people like me who are older, but to kids? And that, I think, we'll see how long this goes on. Will it get worse? Will it get better? All I know is when you got a movie like Spider-Man that comes out that absolutely crushes what the larger what the MCU was in the hands of Disney, I would like to think that's a wake-up call to some of these ideologues, but I don't know. I've been wrong before.
Yeah, it really comes down to, do they want the money more than they want their agenda pushed? And I think we have a ways to go before we find that they're going to start making good movies again. I think the Spider-Man No Way Home movie, which I'm going to go see this weekend. I've already promised my daughter I would take her. But she's got really bad asthma. She's had all kinds of problems with her lungs and stuff. And so she's very, very sensitive to the idea of, people around her not wearing masks. And here in my little nook of Southern California, we are slightly leaning conservative. And so there's a lot of people out there that don't wear the masks and do all that stuff. So she's very paranoid, and with good cause. So I told her, let's let everything settle down. We'll go to like the last show of the night. We'll get, the midnight show. Hopefully not very many people are in there. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to go see that. I'm looking for, I want to tag, maybe Zach's can do it better than I can. I wanted to link Floral's YouTube channel in chat, but I can't.
Is Floral still here? I am way behind in the chat. So
yep.
Hail to you, Floral. Go check out Floral Under a Rock. I did a live stream with that mad puppet maker last weekend, and it was a blast talking with him. He's a gentleman, really good dude. He is going to be having Culture Casino on, Script Doctor, doing these low-key chill interviews while he builds puppets. It's a wonderful, chill, fun, really authentic experience. Go check out Floral Under a Rock. Let me get to this super chat. That shouldn't be $10. Hail to you. Thank you very much. I have no hope for Amazon Lord of the Rings Second Age series. I am enough of a Tolkien purist to have some issues with Jackson's Lord of the Rings. This show will give me brain cancer if I watch it. I've read Tolkien 150 times. Hail to you. That shouldn't be. I know. People were critical of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, Tom Bombadil, all of that. Some of the liberties taken with Aragorn and Eowyn, as well as Arwen. At the end of the day, I still think it is a true work of art. Is it 100% perfect? I would say it's 99% of a perfect movie. Kyle, Mike, what do you guys think about Jackson's Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
This is unpopular probably here, but I never liked Tom Bombadil. Thank God he wasn't in the movie. Not for me. I know why he was in the story. I get that he was a popular character already, but I never was a fan of that character. I'm sorry. I just didn't like him. And I'm glad he wasn't in the movie. I think it would have taken away from the characters who were more important to the actual story. It was more of a celebrity cameo to me.
Yeah. Hail to Brightest Day. I see you in chat. Hello, what's up? So I liked Tom Bombadil, but I 100% agree he should not have been in the movie. He's a detour. He was it Tolkien's? He kind of created that for his kids. I think it was some sort of a bedtime story he put into the series. It really didn't belong, and so it is what it is. I'm glad they took it out. So, but overall, I would say this. we're never going to get a better Lord of the Rings than that. All right. Unless fast forward 100 years, the pendulum has finally swung back that far, and somebody makes a very lengthy, if Netflix or something similar is around, it's going to be in VR where I'll get to stand there and watch the action all around us. It's going to be like the holodeck on the Enterprise,
Nope.
whatever that is, whatever. Then okay, but up until then, this is the best we're going to get, and I'm glad that Peter Jackson was the one that makes it, because if it wasn't him, it would have been crap. That's all I have to say about that. So
I am catching up in the chat, and I, of course, am getting hassled by a certain guy called a man of Manethrin who says, say it with me now, Silmaril. Oh, you bastard. Silmaril-Eon. This is another one of those things. I started to say it. Oh my God. Most of you probably weren't even born in the early 80s when I tried to get through that book for the first time. And so it's really hard to untrain my brain. I'm blocking a bot in chat right now. Sorry. From saying it. So I eventually got to say Nynaeve correctly. So throw me a bone for that. So we're going to start winding down. There is more that we can cover, but as I said, am under the weather, and I think 2 hours is a good amount of time to stream. Unless Kyle, Mike, did you guys have anything from Lord of the Rings or anything else that you wanted to cover? I do want to talk about the casting announcements around the Hobbits. I think that would be a really good discussion to have. Well, I mean, we don't have to tonight, but I can pull that up. But I don't know, chat. Are you guys want to hang out for a little while longer and talk about the multicultural tribe of Second Age hobbits that shouldn't exist because there weren't hobbits really in the Second Age? And I know I'm going to have people come after me for that. I'm talking about real hobbits, not proto-hobbits. I've already had somebody come after me in my comments section. Kyle, Mike, chat, talk to me about hobbits in the Second Age, and then, of course, a multicultural band or tribe of hobbits living together in perfect harmony. What do we think about that?
Well, I mean, obviously they've added them to the show, or to this whatever travesty that we're coming up with here. It is because what are Lord of the Rings? What do we know about this? I used the same argument previously. When you ask somebody randomly, tell me about Lord of the Rings, what do you know? And it's going to be Gandalf, it's going to be hobbits, it's going to be a ring, and it's going to be like Gollum or something, right? And so you have to pick, what can you adapt into this? I guess you call it a prequel. What can you put in there? And you got to have something to draw the audience in. And those of us that are very serious about this, we don't want to see the hobbits. But for some random person who peripherally knows what Lord of the Rings is, they want the hobbits. And so thus the hobbits are going to be there. And I guess that's probably all of the reason they need it.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they did a story without the hobbits. I think that it doesn't make sense lore-wise that they're there, and it doesn't make sense that they're going to look the way they're going to look. And they're trying to explain it as best they can with, I guess I don't know enough about the Silmarillion. I could never honestly get through it. I tried lots of times. I can't.
It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. And so I think that it was a shoe and they were going to put them in there. How important they're going to be to the story, I think, is what will matter more.
I think the best way to get through it is not to try to read it, but to go to the many YouTubers out there that have broken it down, and then they explain it in detail. And it just makes it easier to digest, because, if you're, it's just it's a struggle to get through it. But when somebody takes the time to make multi-part videos covering each aspect of it, you get the idea without having to suffer through the reading of it.
That's probably the best way to do it. I should try that. I've got the box set of the CDs of them, which is like 12 CDs of Silmarillion. But I find that I'm listening to it and I realize 10 minutes later I wasn't actually listening to it and I missed So I have to go back, and so I did give up on that. But a YouTube breakdown would probably work for me. Yeah.
What have you guys heard about this, the War of the Rohirrim anime film? I've only seen some still images. I need to do a deep dive on that. But chat, what do you guys think? Mike, Kyle, what have you heard? Oh God, we're getting pinged in by the bots tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, and I can't see them for some reason, and that's been an issue I'm trying to chase. I can't see them right now.
I am blocking now. And Mike, you also have rights, so if you can nuke them, I might have to turn the chat off because of what I'm seeing. So we'll let it cycle through.
They don't come up. They actually come up inside of Restream before I see them.
That's where it is.
Yeah,
that's right.
It is, yeah.
So I'm not seeing them actually in YouTube chat.
I'm all about anything Rohirrim.
Go ahead.
No, I'm all about anything Rohirrim.
Yeah.
Give me more of that for sure. I want that. I'm down with the Horse Lords.
Yeah, all of that in the history. I've been doing my research on characters that they've been talking about being in the Lord of the Rings and them taking, I think it was Bandar, and I'm probably butchering it. It's not in front of me, but tracing the lineage of that back to, all the way to what we saw in the Two Towers, and then defending Helm's Deep and all of those other things. And it's fascinating. So there are so many amazing stories that Tolkien put together that if they just stayed true to the books, there is no need, just like in Wheel of Time, to create young adult drama or relationship problems. That's one thing that terrifies me, is that they are going to use that same young adult 18 to 24 demographic thing of fabricating soap opera 90210 relationship things, and they're going to do cross species like dwarf and elf forbidden love shit. They are. What do you guys think? Am I off base on that? Do you think
no, they've already done that in The Hobbit, so
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Do you think they're going to recycle something that they definitely people did not like from the films?
I would like to think they wouldn't, but
no, 100%.
I'm pretty sure they will. Yeah. They're going to, because it's also cheap, and they think that people will watch it. But 18 to 24, how many people who are younger people are even watching TV? They're watching YouTube and Twitch, and they're playing video games. So I think they're kind of missing the boat when they jump on that market. But I'm not a market expert, so.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, the algorithm isn't working if they're trying to make money or win return business and return views, in my opinion. I want to shout out somebody here, TRW1974. I have never had someone take a YouTube video, strip out the audio, and overlay it with a fat 70s funk beat soundtrack like I was doing beat poetry. This guy did a video on his channel. This individual, I don't want to assume anything. He says, hey, I'm glad you weren't offended by my wee video stealing your narration. No copyright strike yet. I'm not going to copyright strike you. It was awesome. It was hysterical. He took one of my rants and put some video from the actual Wheel of Time in with that fat block rockin' beat music. It was great. I was honored. Thank you very much. So I love when people are ingenious and creative and do awesome stuff like that. So hail to you.
Jaden says Randall Thor is the only one who can save Middle Earth, and that's kind of one of those fun things you can imagine is, what if someone like Randall Thor could use his power, and what would he do against Sauron? I think that the answer would be completely obliterate the motherfucker. So I think that's I don't think it'd be even close.
Well, I mean, in Wheel of Time, what would happen is he'd need Nynaeve, Perrin, and Egwene to form a non-gender specific centipede, who then, only through merging their power of multiple genders and things that have yet to be invented, could they possibly even come close to barely surviving Sauron. I mean, I'm sorry, at this point, from what I've seen from Wheel of Time, I'm going to be a lot more free with my uncensored self on that. I want to shout out William 101. Dude, you and Shad would get along great together. Again, you guys don't throw things at me. I have not watched other people's Wheel of Time stuff. I want to do one more thing to catch up on Wheel of Time because I've missed a couple out of odds and ends. And also, we need to talk Kyle and Mike and potentially Zach into doing that leaked screenplay of episode 1 that's highly sexualized. I don't know what it's going to take to do that. I just think it would be a lot of fun. So, hail to you, William 101.
I can be Rain. Well, let's not, hey?
Yeah. Oh. Look at this. And this is what we were just talking about. This is from Jaden Hamilton, who says, I am currently 18, and it sucks that our entertainment has turned into this agenda pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would be hearing myself say when I was your age. But in this case, when I was your age, it was the late 80s, and we were watching Top Gun and Conan the Barbarian. And you guys, I mean, tell me, what were you guys watching when you were 18? And we're not saying this to make you feel bad. Why we're saying this is that you're not crazy, Jayden. And the more you see this and can call it out, the less it will have, it will affect you. It potentially, you will look backwards, like I think a lot of us are, for our entertainment, and find satisfaction and belonging there.
I think Jayden's on top of it. I think that younger people are not falling for this garbage at all. Just like we didn't fall for our parents' garbage. You know, the idea that they would is a bit condescending to them. They can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agenda pushing is ruining everything, but
yeah,
it is what it is. All you can do is just not watch. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't give them the satisfaction of the click.
Yeah, vote with your wallet, has Nerdrotic says. It's true. And I try to live that way every day. That doesn't make me a saint, and it's not easy. But I would much rather go to, it sounds funny, but Goodwill or eBay and find some great old movie that I want to watch, or some series like you guys talked about, South Korean stuff, Japanese stuff, anime. You know, I just bought a huge, it sounds crazy, but a John Wayne box set. And some of those Westerns, especially on the TVs we have now upscaled, they are absolutely beautiful, and current filmmakers would have absolutely no idea how to shoot those aspect ratios. Hail to you, Jayden.
Well, that's cool. I've never thought to look at that, but the Westerns, that's a good idea to go check some of those out.
Dude, The Searchers is incredible. And then some of the other movies like Rio Lobo, The Sons of Katie Elder, they're fantastic movies. And of course, then the role that won John Wayne an Academy Award. Oh God, no,
Genghis Khan
just froze.
Genghis
No,
Khan.
Shut up. No. It was oh my God, they did a remake of it recently, the Coen brothers. Anyway, let's move on. My brain is
DJ Grom says, search 1984 for movies and just watch them all. You'll have a great time. Or just go over to my channel where we recently did a live stream with regards to 80s movies. We had a blast, and there's a lot of good stuff there to watch. So I want to say that. Oh, and I've been watching the Maverick stuff. They made the movie out of it, but before that, it was a series, and it went on for quite a while, and it was an absolutely fantastic series. Brett Maverick.
There are a lot of great shows from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that are dated, obviously, but they're great. And if you haven't seen it, Columbo is a timeless classic. It is absolutely genius. Then, of course, if you have not seen Moonlighting, you get to see where Bruce Willis started before his big breakthrough movie, Die Hard, which is, in fact, a Christmas movie. So, 100%. I am trying to catch up in the chat, so I'm a little quiet. You guys vamp for me, and I want to get to where everyone else is because I don't want to miss anything or block anything. So,
okay.
I saw a documentary. It was I'll have to find the link for it, but it was a fan-made documentary from a YouTuber who put together the story of 1984, which other people have already referenced in the chat. And that was an incredible year for movies, like an unbelievable year for movies that came out better than, you could look at a decade and our last decade and struggle to find movies that are as good as that one year. So I recommend checking that out, and I'll find the link to that documentary.
Yes, and
Yeah.
both William 101 and James Winterbottom, you Vulcan mind melded me. It was True Grit. Go check out the original True Grit with John Wayne. It is a fantastic movie. Hail to you guys for remembering that.
Yep. I was watching last night. I was watching what I do. Pitch Black. And
Yeah.
while I'm not a Vin
Yeah.
Diesel fan, I still, for some reason, I love that movie. And so there are still good movies that don't go back that far. You know,
Yeah.
they're more recent, and
And,
I do like
yeah.
those movies.
And if you haven't seen them, I mean, I know I'm going to take shit for this, but the Mummy movies, the first and second one are
Mm-hmm.
great.
Brendan
And then
Fraser.
also Brendan Fraser, I love that dude. I mean, there's a lot. He made a lot of crap.
And there's
after
rumors
that,
they're
let's
making
be
a new
honest.
one, or they're going to talk about making a new one, or something.
Yeah, I covered that in one of my videos. Of course, Brendan Fraser is being cast as a villain in the HBO Max streaming Batgirl movie that is coming out, which is going to set up Batgirl replacing Batman in the DC EU. I just report the news, folks. Don't shoot the messenger. I got a super chat for $2 from Taker610. Salty kind of looks like David Hasselhoff. Well, thank you. I do have a car, a robotic car that talks to me all the time. I chase bad guys around, and I wear a cool leather jacket with a bad perm. So if you see me driving around with my boots and my flare trousered polyester pants, busting villains, I will absolutely take a selfie with you. Hail to you, Taker 610. All right.
I dropped the link to in the chat to that documentary I was talking about.
Okay. Let me do the private or the big or the open chat.
Oh, the open chat.
Oh, roger that. Yeah, I mean, I think we should cover that in a live stream, just talking about that. But go ahead, Jaden, and anyone else who hasn't watched a ton of 80s movies. I think we should do a live stream on somebody's channel, just talking about that document. Let's save that for another time because we have been going, my friends, almost 2.5
How's our
hours.
poll going? If you
I
click on
was
the poll?
just going to ask. I let it percolate. So this goes back to the whole purpose of us getting together. I posted this, oh my God, 1 hour ago. There's 51 votes. Are you excited for the House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel? 6% say yes. 24% says I'll watch, I guess. And 71% say hell no. I am over Game of Thrones. That's what happens when you burn your fans. You got to have a strong finish. You got to just say what you will about Battlestar Galactica. I think they could have very easily ran that thing another season, and the way they ended it was a little rushed. But still, there were some amazing episodes in the final season of Battlestar Galactica. And I, for one, loved the finale of the show. And I did weep like a little girl who just lost her teddy bear when Rosalind died. But that's just me. So
Now, I would like to talk about some bad news for us who love all these things like science fiction and whatnot. May I share my screen just briefly? I think it's going to be something worth looking at.
Go ahead. And then let's try and wind down in like 15 minutes. How about that?
Go ahead and throw that up there if you can.
I'm on it, sir. Oh. Yeah.
On the CW of all places.
I'm shocked.
Now remind me which is the studio or which is the state, whatever it is, the company that's being sold right now because they've gone so woke that they've gone so broke.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I honestly, I think this was a way to try and get a few more pennies for the fire sale that is the CW. That's my read on it. We'll see if it ever makes the light of day.
Could we buy the CW, you think? Could we do a crowdfunding thing? We can buy CW and just to cancel Batwoman?
Well, I got a big mason jar full of quarters over here. I'm sure that's enough to cover what the network's actually worth. So sure. Yeah, just take it out of my all the quarters I got. I think we'll still have enough to go get dinner out of it.
I've been watching Babylon 5 for the first time in the last year. I'm only on season 3 right now, but it's awesome. I mean, I never watched it because the CGI is so bad,
Yes.
and I'm past that now though. And I think if instead of redoing the series or doing a reboot, if they just redid the CGI,
Yes.
it it'd be a fresh
Absolutely.
new show. It's all they have to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, say what you will about what they did with I still love the original Star Trek with the 60s special effects from the first 3 seasons, but it is interesting to watch what they did when they cleaned it up and took the same exact ship but just made it more modern effects.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool, but all of my DVD sets are still with the original effects.
Mm.
James Winterbottom brings something up that, and I'm going to do a shout out to somebody that if you are not subscribed to, go after this live stream and subscribe to Nerd Cookies. She is a woman who is my go-to. She is methodical. She is thorough. She is very analytical, and she presents what's really going on in entertainment from a great perspective of what happened, who was behind it, why are things going on the way they are, and when can you expect it to happen. It's not a rant, it's not just a reaction. It's really good. And why I'm bringing this up is she dropped a Battlestar Galactica Don't Call It a Reimagining video today that the last thing that I did on this was one of the very first videos that I did. And that was that the showrunner for a very agenda driven Battlestar Galactica had quit the production, and it has taken nearly 7 or 8 months for any movement on that Battlestar remake. Nerd Cookies, check her out. She does an amazing video on her. Tell her Corey sent you, Texas Salty Sea. I would love to have her on a live stream with us someday. So hail to you, James Winterbottom, for that.
Yeah, and I dropped her link into the big chat, and not that they needed to know. I'm sure we're all sub to her. She's great.
Yeah, she's just fantastic. She really is. And I want to respect people who do good work. I mean, just really good work, and they do their own thing in their own voice, you know? So,
I
well,
agree, and she doesn't
let's
do the
go.
hot takes. She puts the
No.
work in.
Yeah. And that is the most difficult thing of all is to sift through all of these articles, most of which are just press releases or maybe half right, and to try and come up with something that makes sense. So all right, I think we are pretty well caught up. We have been going. We've been going almost 2.5 hours. Let's go around the horn. Zach's, and this is an announcement. Zach's is part of the permanent full-time team with Mike, OBG70, and myself. We are going to be in this same time slot Thursdays going forward. Don't be surprised if I post out these links a couple of months in advance. Um, I want to say welcome to Kyle and Zach's. He has been wonderful to work with. We Twitter each other like 14-year-old girls, and he's a hoot and a holler and a darn good
Yeah, I
guy.
actually
So
had to
hail
leave the Twitter thread because of you two.
That's why you broke up with us on Twitter?
Yes, because you guys are, like he said, like 14-year-old girls back. I was just like, okay, my Twitter is just going off the hook. Yeah, I had to bail out.
Yeah. But and of course, Mike, this show would not be possible without Mike. He is the Lotka to my gym. It's been great to work with these guys. As always, we are always looking for people to come on who have a channel, who have something they want to say. If you're interested, reach out to me on Twitter, send me a link. I would love to help promote channels that are up and coming just like I am. I want to say thank you an extraordinarily amount to everyone who hung out with us for 2.5 hours. I love reading the comments in the chat. I try and keep up with them as best as I can. If I missed it, please don't take it personally. I will get on it. I want to thank those people who have been to our super chats over and over and over. You've got Nick McCabe. That shouldn't be, of course. We have, I just boomered it. Sorry. backing out through this. We've got Lyle Hammock, of course, coming in, and our executive producer for this evening, which the chat is, of course, jumping on me. Bear with me, everybody. Yeah, Lyle Hammock.
I'm going to just interrupt for a second and let the chat
Go ahead.
know a little secret. This is inside baseball, but Corey said he had a hard out for an hour and a half, 90 minutes, because he's that sick, and so you guys kept him going this long, and he still got some energy left. So it was. Thanks for being here.
This is so much fun. I mean, you guys, it's again, when you go into the laboratory to make these videos, it just, because the thing is 15 minutes long, it takes several hours to get to that. So it's just invigorating and fires me up to see these comments, the support, and I am so appreciative for the super chats that we've had tonight. You guys are absolutely amazing. Hail to you, all of you. It's great to see Floral from Under a Rock as well. And I don't know, Zach's going into the private chat. Did it jump on us? I think I'm missing some things, but
I think you're good.
Okay. All right. Well, again,
I think so.
Thanks to everybody who showed up. Thanks to everybody who, of course, super chatted. It is very much greatly appreciated. We have 22 people still hanging here. Let's go around the horn. Mike, shout out your channel, and we will close this night out.
Yes, I am still on the search for 500 subscribers. So if you would go over to my channel, which has been linked quite a few times by Zax, thank you, Zax, and give me a subscription. I'm going to be ramping up the video releases. I'm trying for one a day starting today. I just did my Boba Fett episode 2. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing Legend of the Seeker episode 1. And maybe Don't Look Up on Thursday. So you have that to look forward to. Please check me out also on Getter at OBG70. And on Twitter, I'm at 8_BITTEN because OBG70 was already taken. And with that, I really appreciate the stream tonight. It's been a lot of fun. And chat has been amazing. Thanks all for the super chats. They've been great. Although I don't see a penny of it. I'm just here for the comic relief. Someday I will have
drama. Here we got drama now.
Yeah, drama. No, I'm messing with it. Like, I don't even care. I'm just saying someday I will get to that point. I'm very jealous. So.
I want to thank the mods here. We got Punk Waddle's on fire. Punk Waddle's on fire in the chat. Maniminitherin's there as well, taking care of these bots. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you know you're something when you start getting bots.
Thank you,
Thanks,
you,
Jaden.
Punk Waddle. Thank you, Manimatherin. I mean, again, we do our best to keep on top of these bots, and boy, they're obnoxious. But thanks for everybody hanging out tonight. So, Kyle, did you shout out your channel yet?
I kind of did. Yeah, I got some. I have a controversial Wheel of Time review video up there that Reddit doesn't like. I put together a quick Witcher video for today, but I'm trying to build some content and trying to keep it relatively light and try to be funny where I can without making fun of the people who like stuff. I want people to like stuff. That's my thing. So if I'm making fun of something, I'm not making fun of you, even if you like it.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. Twitter would explode here, but I've got enough miles on me where I would just kind of laugh and eat pork rinds and egg them on. DJ Grom, I thought I was the comic relief. Well, you still are. Come on. TRW says, closing us out here. I agree with this. This is a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys sticking through with this with me as I learn to unboomer. I'm going to shout myself out. If you've got here, chances are you've seen my Wheel of Time episode review videos. Please go check out the Lord of the Rings video if you haven't already. I'd love to get some feedback and comments. I'm going to be rotating through a variety of topics. As ever, I have so much gratitude for all of you in the chat who comment, who thumbs up, who come to the premieres. It means the world to me. I'm nothing without you guys, and your support means the world to me. Thanks to everyone in chat. Thank you for everyone who super chatted. My mind is still blown by that, and I have so much gratitude. Thanks to Mike OBG70 for always putting up with me, and thank you to Zax for being my 14-year-old best buddy ever. I am gonna do a little voodoo here and try and jump around without boomering it super, super fancy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take us out with my outro. Look for a new video from all of us in the very soon coming days. As ever, have a great freaking week. Live your life. Hail, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.